Welcome to The Catalyst, an exciting and insightful podcast produced by Northeast Iowa Community College. I'm your host, Amy Lasik. Together, we'll explore the people, programs, and partnerships that make Northeast Iowa Community College unique. From student success stories to behind-the-scenes info about athletics, innovation, and industry collaboration, each episode dives deeper into your community's college. Get ready for an inside look at the impact of community-driven education at NICC. All right. Well, welcome everyone to The Catalyst. Today, I'm really excited to sit down with one of our student athletes who's balancing academics, athletics, and everything else that comes with college life. We're talking softball today, but also talking leadership, time management, what it's really like to compete at a high level while preparing for what comes next. So I want to welcome Natalie Nenne. She's a sophomore at Northeast Iowa Community College. She's a transfer athlete from Heartland Community College in Normal, Illinois, and her goal is to get her associate arts degree and then continue her education at a 2-year dental hygiene program to become a dental hygienist. So welcome, Natalie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited to have you. One of my favorite things is to talk to our students at NICC. So first, can you tell us a little about yourself? Where did you grow up? Tell us about your family, how long you've been playing softball, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I grew up in Hudson, Illinois, which is in the central Illinois area. And I have my mom, Jenny, my dad, Chris. I have a brother who is around 23. He is an accountant. And then I have a little dog named Bandit. He's a cockapoo.
Oh. Yes. Oh, cockapoo. Oh, cute.
He's little. And I've probably been playing softball since I was around 6 years old is when I started t-ball. And then kind of just went from there, started travel, got into the more competitive middle school, high school, and went from there. So yeah.
That's great. So how did you know softball was your sport then? Because I'm assuming maybe you played other sports growing up too.
Yes. So I did basketball for a while up until the high school level. It was a lot of running for me. So I kind of went out of basketball. I played volleyball too. I played volleyball all throughout high school. So I was kind of between volleyball and softball. But softball is what I always did in the summers. So I know Iowa's a little different. They play their school season in the summer, but for Illinois, that's not a thing. So we do travel ball during the summer. And so I'd always done that. So I would think I was more into softball because I've always played it extra. I only played volleyball in high school and in school, not really outside of that. So I just stuck with it, went all in on it in those summer teams. And then that's how I knew that that's what I wanted to continue playing outside of high school.
That's great. So all of those sports you played were team sports. Is there a different vibe with the team sport for softball compared to volleyball or basketball?
Yeah, I think volleyball is a lot more, everyone's working together every second of the sport. So we really have to communicate more and be more into that with every single person on the court. But softball is a little more spread out. You're kind of more individualized, but also still working together, but not as much, I would say. So I think the vibe with volleyball is a lot more fast paced too. It's just constantly everybody's doing everything at once. And then softball is more chill in the sense you can kind of take more breaks and just refocus.
Sure.
In that sense. So.
Great. So as I mentioned in the intro, you are a transfer student here to NICC. Can you talk, there might be other students out there that are considering transferring schools. Talk about your experience with that.
Yeah, so I think my time at Heartland kind of set the tone for college softball, how different it is from the high school level to college. At the college level, those coaches expect you to come in and just immediately start working. Your IQ is supposed to be super high. You're supposed to be super knowledgeable already. They don't really teach you that. They might teach you how they want it done, but you're kind of just jumped in and you're going 100% from day one. So in my boat I was in, I kind of I feel I was ready to go into that, but then also the other aspects of living on your own kind of creeped up on me. It's something that's a really big adjustment. And I just getting the fulfillment that I felt I needed. I was growing as a person, but I wasn't enjoying the process as much as I wanted to. So I think that was kind of like my sign of like, I feel like I have a lot on my plate right now and I want to be seen more as just like an athlete. So that's kind of what kind of like transformed my switch. But I grew a lot at Heartland. It was a really good program to bring me into see the college level. I love my time there. I grew a lot, but
That's great. So what made you choose NICC as you were looking to your next step in your journey?
yeah, so the transfer rules are kind of weird. Basically, when you sign your LOI, you're on a contract. So on my contract, I have like a certain day that they can release me, which was June 15th. So once I got released, like the whole process kind of started. So doing the math, it's only a month and a half to kind of like figure out what I'm going to be doing next. So it was super fast paced. And when I saw NICC, I actually found the school off Google Maps, which is kind of like funny. But I went online and I was like, saw that this was like going to be a first year program. I thought that was like super intriguing and also like a good opportunity to kind of see what that was about. So at the time I was taking my recruiting really seriously because I was kind of on a time crunch. So when I reached out to Coach Nick, he got back to me and we set up a visit. I was also working full time during that time. So it was kind of harder for me to figure out when I was going to be like going on visits and stuff. But we figured out a good time and that's kind of like how I ended up here. And then obviously I went on my visit and I really liked it. So
that's great. Great. And then, so I know the team has been extremely busy with practices. We have a new facility that you have been utilizing really well. I think we might have some pictures that we can pull up here, but talk to us a little bit about what practices look like for you.
So practice wise, what we consider like, even though we're not at lifts, we lift in the morning. Right. So we'll do that. Then when we actually transition to practice in the afternoon, I really like Coach Nick's style. It's kind of like you come to practice, we get what we need to get done, and then we're super efficient, and then we're just done. So he like comes in with a plan. We don't really know a plan beforehand, but once like we're in practice, everybody's engaged. He does a good job of like knowing what the plan is that day and the goal of that day. So we'll just like be super efficient in practice. And then that's kind of how our practices flow and go. So
now every team has kind of their own unique vibe. How would you describe the culture of this team?
I think the culture is really fun. I would describe it as like fun and uplifting. We can be competitive, like super competitive when we need to be, but it's also, we like joke around with each other. We just like make little jokes with each other. And I think that's why our energy is so good and like just fun. Like it's a fun environment to be around. I think that's a good part of our culture.
That's great. And you mentioned Coach Nick, who is our athletic director at the college, but also the coach for our softball team. What's the relationship like between our coaches and our athletes for the softball team?
So it's kind of similar to how like teammates, like obviously they have a role of like holding us on task and keeping us on task, but we also have those moments where we can kind of just like go with each other, go with the flow, kind of like joke around with each other. And also just like he does a really good job, him and Coach Keeley, they like checking in with us as people, I think is really important. So that relationship, like they see us more than just being on the field. So they like will ask us like, oh, like, how are you doing? Coach Keeley checks in with us a lot mentally. I think that's really important. And like they know us outside, like what we do for work and how we're kind of like managing our schedule outside of just softball.
That's great. And then you've talked about it a lot, but balancing school and sports can sometimes be very challenging for people, especially when they're first transitioning onto a new team or to college in general. Talk about that process. How do you manage that? What does it look like for anybody who hasn't gone through it yet?
Yeah, so I think balance and time management are your biggest things when you like actually at the high school level, all of your classes are like, you'll probably have class from like 8 to 3. And in college, it's different in the sense of you might have 2 classes that day, but they're more like longer. So staying engaged for those longer class periods. And then when you're not in school, having like more softball and more like stuff you need to do. So we do like study tables, lifting, obviously we'll do some team bonding. I think we're going to be adding mental training here in the spring. So just like knowing everything that you need to get done and then managing it and being like intentful with your schedule so that you can fit everything in, but also do it like giving 100% in what you're doing for that hour. So
Yeah, and you talk a lot about the support of your coaches and your teammates. I'm sure that plays a big part in being successful as well.
yes, it does.
So talk a little bit too about your major, dental hygiene. You're looking to go into that. Did you know you wanted to do that for a while?
No, so it's funny. Last year I was on the elementary ed track, which I've been on that for a while. In high school, I did some internships at an elementary school. And not that it really steered me away, but it kind of gave me a better look of what I would be doing every day. And it wasn't my favorite. So I started getting into more of like the health career envision, but I didn't necessarily want to be a nurse. So I think dental hygiene kind of like fit in perfectly because it's a 2-year program and I don't know, I just think it was more fit for like my lifestyle, I would say. Like the scheduling's a lot different. You don't work every day of the week. You're only working till like 5 o'clock. So I think it just fit more of what I was looking for. So it is kind of newer. Programs are definitely very challenging to get into. They're super competitive. So kind of like right now I'm navigating that process outside of softball. So
yeah. So, and I know there's quite a demand for dental hygienists. So you're going to be able to be very successful after you're completed with your degree. Are you looking to stay local? Or are you wanting to go back to Illinois? What's your plan after college?
So if I could stay here, I would. I won't be able to, unfortunately, with like eligibility. I won't be able to play here at least another year. So I have looked at the dental assisting program here. If I don't get into dental hygiene right off the bat, which is pretty likely with the wait lists are probably like 2 years out. So even if I got accepted, I would have to be waiting a few years. So I have been looking at for dental hygiene wise, I've been looking at Kirkwood has a program. And then I've also been looking at a few community colleges back home that are kind of close to me. They're kind of spread out. They're like kind of random. So if I could stay in this area, I definitely would, but
keeping your options open.
Yeah, it's kind of just whatever I can get into first is what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. So the season for softball starts when?
In February is our first end of February.
So that's got to be exciting. You're getting closer as the year kind of winds down for 2025. What are your goals for the softball team this year for you and for the team?
So I think for me, being here only 1 year is it's like kind of a time crunch, I would say. So I'm trying to focus on myself, but also like how I want to leave the program and what like I want the program to be known for and how I can like help it next year because I won't be here next year, but everyone else will be here. So kind of just like if we can build the foundation this year, how they can like build off of that. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on. So my goals are just competing at a high level for a first year program. I think a lot of times other schools might look at us and be like, yep, they're a first year program. Like, but that's just not how I want teams to view us. Like I want them to look at us like, oh, first year program, like they're tough. They can compete at a high level. They communicate well, all those factors. And then, so that's kind of how I want to do it. And I think for the team, we're looking for, again, like really competitive, but also like mending everybody's roles so that we can be like one united team and moving forward.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting. You mentioned it a couple of times, but this is the first year NICC has had a softball team. So you're really creating that legacy as future softball teams look back at how we started.
Right. Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. What do you hope people understand about this team when they watch you play this year?
Honestly, I hope they understand our growth. For being such a young team, I think all of our freshmen have done such a good job like coming in and figuring out their roles. So I think like understanding like where we have come from, a lot of our teammates aren't even from Iowa. Like I would say maybe 20% are from Iowa. We have people from Canada all over the states. And just like how much we've like come together individually. Like I didn't know anyone coming here. I know a lot of other people didn't, and just how fast we like mended and really like put our team together. That's kind of what I want people to like understand. Like it's super impressive in my eyes, and hopefully other people's. So
Yeah, that had to be fun to come here and get to meet so many new people. How did that process look to start that bond?
yeah, so our first practice was I met my roommates before we started practicing, but it was kind of like a few days. So when we went to practice, like learning, it was kind of just awkward because we're all just like, oh, like hi, like just like kind of meeting each other. But everyone was like super mature about it. We're just at that age where you can start and hold conversations with people without it being like super weird.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I think it's super competitive because we're all like trying to show what we can do and like see our skills. But then it's just like fun to see like, dang, these girls are really good. And then putting that together, like once you know them as a person, it's just like more exciting to kind of like put the person and the player together and then see how they are on like the field. So
yeah. So what position do you play?
I am middle infield. So last year I played second, and this year I'm at short.
Great. So you've kind of seen all over the field then.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
My favorite would be short, just because I like that angle of the field better. Even though like the fundamentals and dynamics are the same at second base, the angle is different. Like going back and forth is kind of like hard, even though it is the same. I did play first base, and I really liked first base in high school. Just didn't really. I was more needed in middle infield, so that's kind of where I got stuck. But I do like first base too.
That's great. Well, I do have some quick fire questions if you're game for that. Just some quick questions if you want to tell us if it's true or false, fact or fiction, or elaborate on any of them.
Okay.
So the first one is softball is a spring only commitment. Is that true or false, fact or fiction?
That's false. We have a full season too.
Yeah, they keep you busy all year long, don't they?
Yes.
What about softball players are superstitious?
I would say that's true.
Yeah.
I'm not super superstitious, but I know some of my teammates, they have certain routines and what they eat before games. They get
Oh, really? Certain foods?
Yeah, certain foods and like certain music they listen to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be something like in the dugout that they did or anything like that. But
no, sometimes just eating a banana before every game is super weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Student athletes must meet academic credit hour requirements to stay eligible.
True.
Yeah, I think you have to be a full-time student, correct?
Yes, we do.
Student athlete.
Yeah.
What about transferring schools means starting from zero, both academically and athletically?
False.
Yeah, you kind of stepped in with already some of that done. You talked about your journey and how it was a little bit different starting college and being your whole self, right?
Right. Yes. Everything transfers over in that process, and academically, it all carries over.
What about student athletes get a pass on homework during away games?
False. I wish, but that's false.
Yeah. So talk about that, because that is something that people talk about a lot is, being a student athlete, how do practices fit in with your class schedule? How do games fit with your class schedule? Talk about that.
So our games are typically in the afternoon. So we try to have classes in the morning to just get them out of the way. But sometimes traveling will like lead into our class time. So sometimes you'll have to like communicate with your professors, like, hey, like I have to leave at this time. And they do a good job of like helping you with that. But yes, it's kind of tough balancing it. Sometimes like last year I would do homework on planes and flights and in the airport and in vans and stuff. You just really have to like figure out your schedule and how you're going to balance it. I like online classes for that reason, because when you're in the spring and you're so busy, a lot of them post like all your work on like a Monday and you can just get it done in that. And the rest you can just focus on your sport and being present in that. So
yeah, it really is about your time management and your communication skills and being able to build that throughout your career at the college.
Yes. Yeah.
Game days can be a 12-hour event.
True.
So
yes.
why true for those that haven't done it?
So I kind of go backwards. So if like we have a game at 3 o'clock, well, travel time is cuts in before that. And then you have like your warm up time. So warm up can typically around 2 hours. So you're getting there at 1, and then travel time, if it's 2 hours away, which is pretty like normal to have 2 hours, then you're, looking at like being ready by 10 and getting ready before that. And then making sure you have everything, travel, warm up, games. Typically games can take pretty long to get through since we're on like 7 inning tracks, and then obviously like travel home, so it can be the whole day.
Yeah, it can take up quite a bit of time, it sounds like. What about transferring to a new team means that you have to learn a whole new language?
False.
So a lot of similarities between
a lot of similarities.
Different teams. Great. How about pressure makes you play better?
True.
I'll talk about that.
So in high school, we did a lot of mental training, and I've always been told that pressure is a privilege. It's something that you should like embrace in the moment. It's not something to be scared of, because if you're scared of pressure, that's typically when emotions get high and you can kind of like downfall from there. So like embracing the pressure and really like giving into it will help you like get through it, is what I've been.
I've often wondered too, like if you have a bad inning, let's say you had an error or something, and how do you regroup? How do you reset?
So again, going back with like mental training, I've always been taught the 3 R's is what we call it. So it stands for recognize, release, and refocus. So being able to like be in touch with your emotions through a tough inning, like you recognize, okay, like this is how I'm feeling. Once you recognize it, you can release it, because you can't release anything if you don't know it's there. So you're able to like reset, refocus, and then the last set is refocusing on it. So you've already put it behind you, and then you're refocused and ready to get back into the next level.
Yeah, that's great advice for anybody with any kind of obstacle they're running in. What about the dugout energy matters as much as what's happening on the field?
True. That's very true.
Yes. That is one thing about softball that I love, is that the energy from the dugout is unlike any other sport that I've seen.
Yes, it's really important to be loud and encouraging, but it's super fun to make cheers. We're kind of like new with that, because we've all had like different cheers on different teams. So we know like different versions of the same cheer, but it's like, we're going to have to work on our cheers a little.
Gotta figure that out. I'm sure I'm confident that you will.
Yes.
Well, as you mentioned, the season is coming up here soon. I think we're going to put a QR code up here with the schedule if anybody is interested in going to any of the games. So here's where you can find the softball schedule and support our first ever NICC Cougar softball team. And you can also visit our nicc.edu/athletics link. So any final words, Natalie, on anybody listening that is considering softball at the next level? What would you tell a potential high school student that they should be focusing on now?
Really focus on the process. It's really exciting to get to play at the next level. Anybody's capable of playing at the next level. It's just about finding school that works for you. So when you're going through that process, really enjoy it, embrace it, and don't rush it. Really take your time going through the process. And me and my mom always talked about going by the broken leg test. So if you're recruiting and getting recruited, you're going on visits. If my mom always told me like, okay, so let's say you started here and you broke your leg and you couldn't play your sport, would you still like the school? So I think going for the school just as much as the sport is equally important.
Your mom sounds like a really smart lady. That's great advice.
Yes.
Well, I have really enjoyed talking to you, Natalie. I have no doubt you're going to be successful both on and off the field. You have a lot of great insights, and you have nothing but good things ahead of you, I am sure.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And thank everybody who's listening for joining us today. Hearing these stories reinforces how much growth can happen through athletics, whether it's teamwork, confidence, perseverance, so many different facets that are involved in being at a sport at a college. And that's why these experiences matter long after we finish our careers at an athletic sport. So I look forward to following our NICC Cougar softball team this year. Thank you for joining us, Natalie, and thank all of you for listening.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Catalyst. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Want to learn more about NICC and the many ways we support our students, partners, and community? Visit nicc.edu for more resources and upcoming opportunities. This podcast is produced by Northeast Iowa Community College and hosted by me, Amy Lasik, with executive producer Tessa Hill, producer Travis Hunt, and graphic designer Ashley Konzen.